you sent.
So do you want to start, Marco?
Of course. So the name of the program that Wesley, Vassar, and Wesleyan have in Bologna is ECCO, Eastern College Consortium. We are the three consortium institutions, but there are extra consortium partners which also send their students to Bologna. They have to apply through the institution that is directing the program, but we've had in the past many students from Hamilton, Bucknell, Bowdoin, Diana is another student. And the directorship of the program rotates between Wesleyan, Vassar, and Wesley. Hello Diana. I was the director last year, and currently faculty from Vassar is directing, and next year David Ward, who is with us from Wesley, Professor David Ward, will be directing. The program is an academic program. It is based in Bologna, in Emilia-Romagna. It can last either 1 or 2 semesters, based on the regular, in a regular situation, it would last 1 or 2 semesters. From the academic point of view, you would take 3 courses or rather 3 credits, courses for 3 credits that are offered for ECCO students, and you would take 1 additional course at the University of Bologna with Italian students and other international students. ECCO has both a faculty and a staff that prepare you for the internal ECCO courses and the external courses at the University of Bologna. And with that, a history of academic successes that should be taken into consideration. We will work with you, the director will work with you, and the staff and faculty will work with you to make you succeed, both from a linguistic point of view and from an academic point of view. You will live in dorms that are in some cases co-ed, in some other cases non-co-ed, with Italian students and with international students. Even when international students are there, the official language is Italian. So you will practice Italian a lot, even with students that are non-Italian and come from all over the world, because the University of Bologna is probably the most international university in Italy, other than, on top of being the oldest university in the world. You want to continue, David?
Yes, I just add that the ECCO program is an Italian-only program, in the sense that you don't go there to learn Italian from nothing. To go there, you need to have already have a certain preparation in the Italian language. It could be 3 or 4 semesters of instruction in Italian, depending on which institution you come from. And we found that that is a good basis for making sure and swift progress in the language once you get there. You know, my experience of programs where students go, excuse me, where students go to learn Italian from nothing, that if they go for a semester, they really do learn nothing. 3 months starting from 0 is not enough to get you even to be able to order a pizza in a pizzeria. So the program attempts, insofar as it's possible, to integrate you, American students who are studying in America, into an Italian student way of life. It's not 100% possible, of course, but that's why we put you in dormitories. They're called studentati, with other Italian students. Megan, I think, will tell us about the various living options. Most of them are kind of apartment style. And although in the general dormitory building, you will not be the only ECCO student, in your apartment, you will be the only ECCO student. You'll be the only American student. If you're there with international students, the international students will, for the most part, be Italian speakers. So the dormitory is if you kind of, you know, get on well with your roommates, which we all hope you do. That's a really good learning environment. It's there that your Italian will progress in leaps and bounds. And you will discover that all the things we teach you about using the conjunctive, the subjunctive correctly, are kind of less important in everyday conversation. It's communication skills that you will learn in the dorms. You'll probably learn how to swear as well, which is, you know, quite a useful skill.
I would say that all of the students last year learned very well how to swear in the most heterogeneous ways.
Yes, I know. Well, hats off to them. That's their. We are proud of them, and also by offering courses for the most part only taught in Italian, whether they're in the program or whether they're in the University of Bologna, and also in your daily interactions with the staff and the director of the program. We like those to take part in Italian. Now, we do not insist on kind of punishing you if you speak English to your friends. We cannot prevent that. That's going to happen. But for the most part, it's an Italian, and it's an Italian-only program.
Yeah.
Marco, sorry.
No. I'm sorry for interjecting. I have 1 second of delay, and I never know when to speak. The courses that we offer every semester generally combine humanities and social sciences. The second semester, which is the one that I remember the best, the courses offered were art history, urban history, literature, and I am skipping on, and cinema. The semester before, literature, art history, history of science, and architecture, if I'm not wrong. These are all courses taught in Italian. There's also an additional course that is mandatory, that is an academic Italian writing workshop with our director of the language programs in Bologna. If you need more specific courses for your major, the director will indicate courses at the University of Bologna that you can take, and will contact the professors at the University of Bologna to make sure that they know of your condition of international student, and there will be lots of logistics support for you. Importantly, the University of Bologna is a huge institution with 85,000 students and has a number of academic subjects that you will not find in your American colleges. It could be a good idea to explore and investigate in consultation with the staff and the director, and to make sure that the courses that you choose for the University of Bologna are actually valid courses for your major. You have to communicate with your advisor in the home institution and with the director in Bologna to make sure that everything works fine. But I don't think we've had any problem because the communication is continuous with home institutions. In Bologna, you have the same type of support distributed in over 3 people instead of over 20 offices, but everybody is there for you and the home institutions are still there for you, both academically and personally.
Okay, Megan, why don't you talk about the housing situation?
Yeah, sure. So like Professor Ward was saying, it's studentati in their apartment style. So there are 2 primary dorms that ECCO students will be in. One is Gigi, which is on one side of the city, and it's a co-ed dormitory. And then there's Forni, which is an all women's dorm, and that's where I lived. And that dorm is much closer to the city center, which I really liked. It was also very close to the program headquarters, so it was a really fast walk. So just in terms of life at the dorms, it's an apartment style, like I was saying. There's a kitchen and a small living area with 2 doubles. So I had 3 flatmates, and 2 of them were Italian and 1 was a German exchange student. So that was really great for me because she was also learning Italian. So we were kind of there as a good support for each other. And so because there's a kitchen, you prepare your own meals, and the program will give you a food stipend of about 13 euros a day. And there's lots of grocery stores around the city that are very close to the dorms or just a short walk away. So I would normally, there's a sink, a gas stove, an oven. So it's very easy to prepare your food. People are really respectful of like, whose food is food, like people don't steal. So that's really nice. Also, there's normally a cleaning schedule. You're also responsible for cleaning your own apartment. So my roommates and I, we had a schedule. We cleaned twice a week and we would rotate throughout the 4 of us. So you had to basically clean like once a month, and it took maybe an hour. So that was how Forney was set up. Gigi is a little bit different as it is co-ed. They're also doing a lot of renovations there, and that was the case when we were there. So walking through was kind of strange. But so there's also the 4-person suites like I was living in, but there's also newer dorms where it can house 12 people. There are 6 doubles. So there are 6 men and 6 women living together with a really large industrial sized kitchen. Yeah, so also kind of a similar living environment, like cooking for yourself, cleaning. I do know keeping it clean was really difficult with so many people living there, but it was really fun. I would go there lots to visit friends and we would cook together. But that apartment is also much further from the center of the city. So it maybe takes about 20 minutes. So I know a lot of people who live there got bikes for the semester. And I think the last thing that I need to touch upon is there are doormen. So they are in charge of making sure everyone who comes in and out is living there or a guest. And they're also kind of like the touch point if you need something fixed in your apartment. Or you need bedding. That's also something that is provided by the staff there. Yeah, it's definitely better to get on their good side because you want to have a good relationship with them. Just makes things a lot easier. And it is much less private. They can come into your apartment whenever they want. They have keys. So I know for me that was a little bit, yeah, they do knock, but it was a little bit, it was not something I was used to, especially like coming from an American university where it's like, you know, it's much different. So they could tell you like to clean your room or do stuff like that, which was definitely different. But I really liked living in the apartment. It was great to kind of have an independent lifestyle. And while I was cooking for myself, I also had enough money that I was able to go out to eat probably once a week. And I normally got coffee and a pastry out every morning for breakfast.
It's you can find many places where you can eat at a decent price around the university, and like breakfast is something that you can definitely afford every morning if you save a little money, because a coffee in Italy is like €1 on espresso. It's not like the crazy amount of money that you spend at Starbucks. One important thing, on top of the academic and the various logistic support that you get in Bologna, there's also a series of cultural events that you are invited to. Some of them are mandatory and some aren't. The mandatory ones are the half a day or 1 day trips organized by the professor for every course that is taught. For example, the professor of history of science went to Florence at the Galilei Museum. The professor of urban history went to Padua to see another university town. And on top of these various 1 day trips, some organized by the director himself or herself with no specific connection to any of the courses, there's a 3 day longer trip that is organized on a semester basis. I think Megan went to Venice. We went to Venice here a semester. And on the second semester, we planned a trip to Naples that unfortunately we couldn't actually have because we returned on March 2nd. So there's a series of cultural activities that are organized for you, and you also have a one-time bonus of 120 euro, I think, that you can spend on anything that is culturally relevant, and that includes Italian. I was sort of like very loose in my interpretation of cultural activities, so I let students pay for the gym, for example, and I thought that was a good way to interact with people outside of academia and outside of the group of friends that you have in your dorms.
Yeah, the University of Bologna doesn't provide a sports center. It does have a sports center, but I wouldn't advise you to go there. So if you want to go to the gym, you have to pay a monthly fee.
Yeah, because Bologna is in and of itself a campus rather than having a campus. It's a city of 500,000 people in the metropolitan area. Within the old town, most of the buildings are either buildings for students or buildings for the university. So you will have a different perception of what university is. This is a very urban university that we're talking about.
Just to underline what Megan was saying, there's no swiping cards at the University of Bologna in a cafeteria. It's a little bit like an introduction to what life will be like when you leave your respective campuses. It's a bit, maybe it's a little bit like living in graduate school. Let's put it that way. You have to clean your own apartment and you have to organize your own eating arrangements. Some students attempted to skimp on eating so they can save the money from the food allowance. The food allowance will come to something in the region of 400 euros a month, which is quite a lot of money. However, if there's one city in the world where it makes no sense to skimp on eating, it's probably Bologna. So make the most of the gastronomic culture that Bologna can offer to you. There's also it's a non-credit bearing, but there's also a part of the program, included in the program, is a cooking course. So maybe Megan can just say 1 or 2 words about Rita Mattioli.
Yeah, the cooking class is a really great perk of the program. So there are 3 approximately 3-hour-long classes where you go to Rita's apartment, and she used to have her own restaurant. And is an incredible chef, and she teaches you and like a small group of students how to cook like a 3-course meal. So you do like a starter, a main course, and dessert, and it's so much fun. She teaches you cooking terms. The course is all conducted in Italian, and she talks a lot about like Italian food and culture. I really enjoyed it. It's so much fun. We made cavatelli, tiramisu. I think also tagliatelle. It's really fun, and the price is all included in the program. So definitely make sure that you take advantage of it.
And you went 3 times, Megan, to her house?
Actually a couple more times, yeah.
Oh.
because she also did a demonstration at the beginning where she made dinner for the entire program. But actually, I did go a fifth time because she invited some of the girls over for like aperitivo, which was fun, just to catch up because it was the end of the semester and we were all leaving soon. But she's very nice and is, like I said, a really great cook.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have a question? Yeah, Anna.
Can students travel on their own to other cities over the weekends?
Yes. There's like Bologna is superbly connected with a train system that takes you everywhere in Italy and even outside Italy. It's very efficient. I always suggest that students should explore Italian cities rather than go abroad just for the sake of going abroad. But we don't impose limitations on that. We're just very clear about this being an academic program, so it is not an acceptable excuse to skip a Monday class or a Friday class if you have one. There are generally no Friday classes except for University of Bologna classes. That can also be on Saturday, by the way, because you are in Montenegro or in Austria. That is not an acceptable excuse, and that will be an absence.
Bologna has an international airport too, and there are low-cost flights to a number of places, EasyJet and Ryanair. And did you go to London, Megan, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, I went to London and Paris, but I went at the very end of the program, and that was the only international trip I took. Throughout the rest of the semester, I traveled pretty much within Italy, like pretty much like the north. But yeah, like, there's a lot of really great places to go, and I don't know, I personally found like some people were going out of the country every weekend, and like the one time I went, it was very exhausting. So for me personally, I found that Italy, it was also great because like I spoke the language, and yeah, so I really enjoyed that.
And we should add that if you opt for the fall semester or the whole year, in August you have the option of going to, we do a August intensive Italian course in a city in the deep south of Italy called Lecce. And that's a good, first of all, it would enable you to spend a little bit of time in southern Italy, a 3-week period in southern Italy, where for various reasons life is slightly different than it is in the central north of Bologna. But it's also a kind of good soft landing if you want to accustom yourself to Italian life. So you're there with the whole group. You do a 3-week intensive language course for which is credit bearing. You all live together for this program, so it's a kind of a bonding experience too. And the town is incredibly attractive. It's a Baroque town, and it's located strategically between 2 beautiful beaches, one to the east and one to the west, and in a part of Italy that, well, that probably you wouldn't get to see otherwise. So it's a good option for August. So what happens if you left at the beginning of August with the group? You would arrive in Lecce. You would do the 3-week program there, and then you would be transported up at the end of August, beginning of September, up to Bologna, where you begin your ECCO experience. Okay, I'm going to change rooms because my daughter is being unbelievably noisy at the moment.
I strongly recommend that people should go to Lecce because it's a beautiful city. It's a beautiful natural environment. You get to improve your Italian before university starts. You make friends in a different setting, which is a less urban setting. You are more outside than you generally are. you can go to the beach, which in Puglia are fantastic. I'm from Sardinia, and I would never say that they're the best beaches in Italy because we have the best beaches, but they're pretty cool. They're decent, let's say.
Yeah, I didn't go to Lecce, unfortunately, but I really wish I had. And if you're able to, definitely go because everyone who went absolutely loved it.
Again, maybe just you could just say one thing about the mode of studying for the Unibo courses, which is kind of different from what we are used to here in the United States.
Yeah, definitely. So I took a course called Sociology of Communication, and it was a huge lecture style class, probably like 200 people in this lecture hall, which was something I was definitely not used to. But that wasn't everyone's experience. Some people, like the smaller class sizes were probably like 30 to 50 people, but still big compared to what all of us are used to. So basically the professor would present the information and I would take notes. You basically learn the material and you either have an oral exam or some other kind of assignment. So a lot of times the professors will grant international students some lenience. In my case, the readings were in English and I got to write a paper instead of doing an oral exam. So that was actually like quite familiar to me. But the internal classes will all be oral examinations in Italian. Going back again to the Unibo class, I had a couple of friends who took a class about the Divine Comedy, and that was definitely, I think, probably the most intense class people took. I remember they studied a lot for it. There were some scheduling issues with the oral exam, but they eventually got it done and they did very well. But I know that class required a lot of extra preparation. I don't know if any of you are a STEM major, but the science classes are offered in English there, and I believe that the program will allow that if you are a STEM major. And I know we had a couple of neuroscience majors who, I don't know if, I think the course was conducted in English.
I think that the course was conducted in Italian and they could take, if they wanted, the exam in English, and they all decided to take the exam in Italian with very good results. Megan had amazing results, if I may say, at the end of this exam, and both the students who took the Dante Studies class, which was definitely the most difficult class that any of the students during my directorship took, had amazing results. The very, one had honors and one had the highest grade without honors. They were helped every step of the way by the director of the language programs, Ivan Tassi, who met with them 1 extra hour a week every time they needed to meet, who helped them with the bibliography, who talked to me to let me know if there were issues that we could resolve, and the success was like strictly, like it was a strictly positive result.
Even with my class, like I didn't really struggle with the material, but the logistics were really complicated for me and just navigating like the bureaucracy of the university and where the classroom was, and there were all these different sections, and just navigating the final assignment was really stressful for me. But the ECCO program staff were really helpful, and they even went to the professor's office hours with me to try to get everything straightened out. So it's very, you have so much support. So it's, but it all works out in the end.
Diana, you had another question?
Yeah, whom I should talk to discuss which classes are available in University of Bologna and how they meet my major requirements?
You have to speak to the on-campus representative of the ECCO program. That would be me this semester. You will have a preliminary study plan that you submit that needs to be undersigned by myself in this case and by your major advisor in the major, in the department in which you're majoring. And when you are in Bologna, you will also talk to the director who will evaluate if this exam is a good idea for your academic success, if the professor who's teaching that course at the University of Bologna accepts international students, but there will be an almost unlimited series of options that you will investigate with the director. The director, I think I only said no to one student who had selected a course that was a major, a master level course, and the student had only studied Italian for 3 semesters. So I thought it could have been a stretch, but we found an alternative in the same field in English that actually counted for the major in which the student excelled. So it's a process. The director is there as an academic advisor, as a strategic go-to person for every problem. The director is really there. I was there 24/7. Maybe I was exceeding the expectations because it was my first time and I had to learn a lot myself about what was going on. The staff is there 24/7. So just to let you know, when things got really bad, we were able to evacuate the students in 24 hours. It took 4 weeks to Brown University, which is like a very resourceful institution, to send their last student back. So the director and the staff are going to be there for you, big time.
You may not be able to know exactly which courses are being offered until the summer.
Yeah.
University of Bologna will not publish the courses and the schedule of what's on offer until sometime in late August, the beginning of September. But because the university is so huge and the number of courses are so wide, it's almost impossible not to find a course that suits you, is in your area of specialization, and which will be accepted by your home institution and by the department where you're doing your major. So even if you're unable to say exactly what course it is, I would not worry about that.
I wouldn't worry about that. You can also have a look at the website of the University of Bologna. It used to be non-user friendly. Now it's very clear in terms of the offer, the educational offer, and most of the web pages of the professors and of the courses that are offered are also in English. So you can switch to English if there's something that is not clear. They can vary from when you look at the course and when your semester and when you are nearly for that semester. But once again, as David said, it's very difficult not to be able to adjust your curriculum, and the director and the staff will help you with that. If you want, we can talk about how to navigate the website. You just need to make an appointment with me, and we can go through the website together, and we can have a look at what courses you might be interested in and in what department to look for those courses. Not necessarily a course in history that you're interested in is going to be taught in the history department. The clusters of disciplines are way more integrated in various departments than they are in the US, because there's no real notion of cross-listing. You have professors teaching in their field in various departments.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So at Wesleyan, some of the upper level courses have prerequisites. Is that a thing in Italy?
You have to inquire the professor, but it's not a prerequisite in terms of an exam that you have to have taken It's a prerequisite in terms of your competence. The professor might ask how many courses have you taken in German if you want to take a contemporary literature class in German. There's no immediate, we call them sbarramenti in the Italian system, which means barriers that you have to pass before taking on a course. But it's about competence in, I would say, 95% of the cases. It's not about competence, and it's actually not about anything, because you cannot take those courses at the medical school. You're not allowed to take. It's out of the, it's out of our possibilities. We're not offered that possibilities because the medical school in Italy is has a very fixed number of students that are determined on a national basis, and there are only as many seats assigned to every university. There's a different procedure, and we don't offer that procedure.
One thing where Italian universities differ from American ones is you don't actually enroll in a course. You just show up. You show up at the time that the class is being taught, and you follow it through for the number of weeks that the course meets. There's no kind of standard format. Some classes can meet 3 times a week and be finished in 8 weeks. Other classes can meet twice a week and be finished in 10 or 11 weeks. You have to see. The formal moment comes when you show up for the exam. So when you do the exam, the grade that you are given is noted in a what was once called a libretto, a little book. I'm not sure what the system is now. And when it's the moment that the grade is entered into the system, that's the moment when you're in the course. Don't expect to be assigned homework by University of Bologna courses. The professor will not say, read pages 53 to 120 for next class, right? You're expected to show up to the class, but you will be expected to have done the reading when you show up for the exam. So if you don't want to find yourself 5 days before the exam with 550 pages of Italian to read, it is a good idea to pace yourself, right? Even though the homework is not assigned, you should get on with the reading in September, in October, and in the first part of November before you go and do the exam. Okay.
The director and the director of the language, the resident director and the director of the language program will actually ask you about the syllabus, about the amount of work, and will try to calendarize your work based on what your American academic experience is, so that you're not taken aback at the moment of the exam. The ECCO courses, the courses that we offer in our headquarters, are more similar to the type of courses that you take in the US. They're more seminar, discussion-based courses with a midterm, a presentation, presentations in class over the semester. There's a different sort of vibe in those courses, just to make things not completely shocking for a student who's used to a different system.
And what are the minimum language requirements to participate in this?
It depends. At Wesleyan, we generally ask 4 semesters of Italian, or the equivalent in terms of competence, but we allow students to go in the 4th semester, so after 3 semesters, if they have special requirements. For example, students from the College of Letters can only go in their 4th semester. Like, they're expected to go abroad in their 4th semester, and there's no problem with that. If there's obviously a linguistic competence that is necessary and that we test in a way. If we think that you might go and just take ECCO courses because you will be taken care of in a better way, we might also allow you to go, but the director might decide that it's not a good idea for you to take courses at the University of Bologna in Italian. They might allow you to take courses in English. As Professor Ward said, without a certain linguistic level, it's absolutely useless to go to Bologna and expect to learn and to get to a certain level of proficiency, because there's so much to do. You're still a student, you're still living, you're still meeting people, you're still doing activities, and you already have to be at a certain level to survive in the cultural, academic, social community. It's not just a question of improving your Italian when you're there. You also have to be able to perform tasks when you're there.
But if at all possible, I would really recommend that you all do, unless it's just proves to be impossible, a University of Bologna course. It's part of the experience to see how a huge public university works and sometimes doesn't work. And I can guarantee you that if you do a 20 or 25-minute conversation in Italian as your oral exam at the end of the course, and you get a good grade, you're going to feel pretty good about yourself. The young woman who did the Dante course last year, it was, did the course with probably one of the leading Dante scholars in the world. And for her to have had a 25-minute conversation with him about the Divine Comedy and come out with it with what is apparently a very, very good grade, hats off to her. She must have been walking on, she must have been up in the clouds after having done that. So it's good for your self-esteem. The idea of the program is to advance your Italian from the stage at which you can kind of survive in the language by traveling, going to restaurants, ordering pizzas, to get you to a level where you can use Italian for intellectual discourse. You can express your thoughts, your ideas in an Italian that's good enough for you to get complicated and sophisticated ideas across to an interlocutor like a university professor. And, even if day one of a university course is traumatic, because you're in a room with a bunch of people and a professor who probably will talk for 90 minutes. There's every reason to be a little bit anxious after that, but believe me, it passes. And I only have experience of Wellesley, but I know that all our Wellesley students who have done University of Bologna courses, even those who are kind of, frankly, not the most gifted linguistically, they all came through the experience, they all survived, and they were all the better for it at the end.
One thing, since you're all Wesleyan students, the course that you take at the University of Bologna can be taken for pass-fail and still be valid for the Italian major. Any course that you take at the University of Bologna will be valid for the Italian major if it's taken in Italian. It might be worthwhile inquiring if your major advisor allows for a pass-fail course to count towards the major. It's always better to be extremely clear with the on-campus advisor, the major advisor, and the director in residence in Bologna, so that everybody's on the same page and you don't have any bad surprises. I'm not aware of any bad surprises, but it's always like, communication is always a good thing when it comes to these bureaucratic matters. Any final questions, any final thought?
Karen or Grace, do you have anything to say? Have we just anticipated all your questions and answered them before you had to ask them?
I still have a question, one more.
Please.
So non-US citizens can go too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about visa? Like, is it problematic? Have there been cases when a student was just refused visa?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, you will need a study visa. And that you apply for that through the Italian consulate. And we've had students who, or if you have a European Schengen passport, then you don't need the visa. But otherwise, you'll need a study visa. Yeah.
You will need a visa from the Italian consulate in your country of residence. I am not confident that the Italian consulate in New York in the US will be able to provide a visa for a non-American citizen. But these are things that can be asked directly to the Office of International Studies at Wesleyan. I can even start asking, I mean, it looks like a little premature this semester, but I can definitely start asking. We've had international students at Wesleyan that went to Italy that didn't have an American passport. So they had to apply for an Italian visa in a way that is unrelated from the American visa, American study visa that they already had to study at Wesleyan. Sometimes this visa can be obtained in a consulate in North America that has a partnership with the Italian consulate that you should go to in your country of residence. We've had in the past a Chinese student who was able to get a visa at the Italian consulate in Toronto. It's not the same for all countries, and it depends on the type of reciprocity between Italy and the country of your citizenship or residency. That is why we start the process months in advance, so that we make sure that the Byzantine bureaucracy of immigration of all the countries involved sort of has time to proceed with its elephant space.
And in addition to the student visa, which will get you into the country, once you're there, you have to get a residence permit. But that is something the program helps you with that. It simply means you have to go to the police station or to the post office or somewhere like that and fill in a form. But the program has become expert at navigating these systems.
The staff will be with you. Sometimes the director will be with you. If there's any issue, we will ask for advice from our legal counselors. I don't think we ever got that far. It's just an annoying process, like all processes that involve immigration in any countries. And Italy and the US are particularly invasive from that point of view.
But given the current economic situation, Italy is going to be welcoming foreign students like never before. So.
Yeah, definitely. It's good for all parts. Karen.
Yeah, I just had two quick questions. So I'm a sophomore right now, and I plan to go fall of next year. What does the application process or like the deadlines and dates look like, and how can I set up an appointment?
February is you're a Wesleyan, right, Karen?
Yes.
February, and I think the end of February is when the applications deadline generally is. This year, it might be a little later because of the evolving situation. But as of now, we are planning to be there in the fall. And ask for an appointment. You can send an email to the Office of Study Abroad, Emily Gorluski and Hannah Parton, and to myself, to me, if you want to talk more about the program rather than about the bureaucracy. The Office for Study Abroad will give you all the information that you need in terms of how to organize your application and what the deadlines are. I can answer all your questions about life in Bologna, academic life in Bologna, the ECCO program, and your application will be vetted first by Wesleyan and then by Wellesley College, because Wellesley will be directing the program next year. You are actually, Professor David Ward is going to be the director next year.
And you'll be officially Wellesley students for a semester or a year.
Okay, thank you.
This is going to make things even more complicated when you say that you study at Wesleyan, because people,
Yeah, I know.
You say Wellesley and you will have to say yes, actually, and no at the same time.
Well, I happen to live closer to Wesleyan than to Wellesley, so whenever I say Wellesley, they say, yeah, Wesleyan. So we should just merge, I suppose. And,
We should move, as far as I'm concerned. I would love to live in Boston, in a Boston area, but I mean, I don't think this recommendation will be well accepted.
Last thing, Megan, did you buy an Italian cell phone? What did you do?
Oh yeah, wait, this is a very important topic. I'm glad that we're talking about this. So, yeah, I didn't have an Italian cell phone. I just got an Italian SIM card and like an Italian cell phone plan, but it's much, much cheaper than in the US. And it's a little bit different. Like here it's like talk, texting, and data, but there it's all data. And people tend to just use WhatsApp to text and call people. So that's really all you need. I think I paid maybe 20 euro a month and I got maybe 20 gigs of data, and it was a lot, and it was great. It was fast, reliable. I had no problems. One thing that I found a little bit different is you don't, like when you run out of data, you're out of data until the cycle resets. So unlike in the US, like you'll get a message like, oh, you're out of data. You can continue using it, but you're gonna get charged. You're done until like the next cycle starts, which was a problem for me a couple of times. But it's really easy. The program directors will take you, I can't remember the name of the company, but they'll take you to one of the cell phone stores to help you navigate the process and get set up with the SIM card. It's really easy. I think some people can get like a phone there, but I think one student actually did. But for the most part, people just used a SIM card.
The director always recommends that you have an Italian number, even now that WhatsApp is a thing, because in case of an emergency, the director must be able to contact you on the spot. And you must be able to contact the director on the spot if there's an emergency for you.
The director
last question.
with the cell phone next to his or her ear.
Sorry, last question. Is there like an orientation before the program?
There are many. There are many here and there are many there. And I know because I will be giving that orientation. So before you apply and after you apply, and Professor David Ward will be giving an academic orientation, a residential orientation. You will receive an orientation with a police officer. You will receive an orientation about healthcare. You will receive orientations about anything. We even had an orientation about fitness and how to find something that you like in Bologna on how to stay fit. So yes, before and after.
And how many students from Wesleyan go in the semester typically?
Last fall, it depends. It varies. In the fall 2019, we had 25 students, 15 of which, or no, 13 of which from Wesleyan, 7 home from Wesley, I think, 6 or 7, and the rest from Vassar. And we also had 2 external students, one from Hamilton and one from Bucknell, I think. In the spring, there are generally less students. We had 12 in the spring last semester, 1 from Wesley, 3 from Wesleyan, and the other students were all from Vassar. 3 of them were staying from the fall, so they stayed for the whole year.
The maximum is 35.
And I think the minimum was 11. I don't know. I think the motivation to go in the fall, a big part of motivation is the Lecce program in southern Italy. A second deal is the possibility of being on campus when your friends graduate. That has been apparently a huge motivation for some students to go in the fall.
Yes, the spring program is actually longer. You show up in Bologna around about January the 7th or 8th, and you go home maybe the 25th or the 26th. Is it something like that, Marco?
It was January the 6th, from January the 6th to May the 22nd this year. After your visa expires, you can stay for a maximum, I think, of 90 days as a tourist without having to renew your visa, but you will not have access to the university dorms. You will have to take care of yourself if you don't want to go back to the US or to where you are supposed to go back.
And the fall semester begins at the beginning of August if you take the Lecce option, beginning of September if you just do the Bologna option, till round about the 21st or 22nd of December.
Immediately before Christmas.
Oh, okay. One more question. So does the program offer tickets from Wesleyan, like from US University to Bologna? How does that work?
That's included. The flight from New York is transatlantic flight from New York is included.
You can opt out, but you are offered this possibility door to door, pretty much, because somebody will pick you up at the airport, either in Bari in southern Italy or in Bologna when you arrive, and you will meet in New York. Generally, I think the flight has always been from New York.
Yeah.
In the last year, so yeah, the flight is included. You can opt out,
and if you opt out, you get a refund of the travel costs. So if you want to use frequent flyer miles, for example, you can do that. But you make sure you still arrive on the same day, at least the same day as all the rest of the students.
We had students who arrived a couple of hours earlier, I think, in Bologna, and a student who arrived the day before in Lecce, and she took care of her own accommodation. She wasn't even in Lecce, she was in Brindisi, I think, of all the places. So she had to take care of herself for one night, but there's a sort of scheduled check-in that the director organizes with the dorms that needs to be taken into consideration when you plan.
Pretty much everything is covered in terms of money, but you know, on our campuses, if there's a movie shown, it's generally free. If there's a theater show, it's genuinely free. In Bologna, nothing like that will be free. So if you want to go to a concert, you want to go to the movies, you want to go to the theater, you will need some pocket money. When I was resident director, there were a couple of students who, for various reasons, didn't have any money. And they were not, they didn't enjoy the program as much as they would have had they had, say, you know, $250, $300 to help with their social life during the time that they were there. Okay, Grace, bye-bye. Nice to have met you. Diana, may I ask what passport you have, nationality?
Oh, yeah, I'm from Kyrgyzstan, Central Asia.
I've never heard of anyone being turned down for an Italian visa. Let's put it that way. So,
and countries from the former Soviet Union have very good relationships with Italian Republic. So both commercial and diplomatic relationships. So I would be very surprised if anything happened. But it's good to know in advance. So it's good to plan this in advance because we might have never dealt with the country, like the study abroad office might have never dealt with a country, and it would be a good idea to start things a little earlier. But I feel like you're on top of this.
yeah, just be aware.
I might just need to like go back to my country to get a visa, and then I would need to go to Italy from my country.
That might be the case.
I would check to see if they can't do it here. It may be possible. It may be possible. Remember that when you apply for a study visa, the consulate's going to keep your passport for a week or so, and then they give it back to you. So you have to make sure you're not going to be needing the passport to travel during the period of the when you're applying.
But I can tell you that the Office for Study Abroad is there exactly to grant you the possibility of studying abroad. And if there's one thing, you already be studying abroad as soon as this nightmare ends, and I will see you in person on campus. But the Office for Study Abroad will go above and beyond to allow you to go study abroad, because their mission, and I would say their intellectual honesty requires that they do everything they can to help you study abroad. So trust me, you will be in very good hands. I would also be impressed if Italy were not trying hard to come out of this in terms of promoting academic tourism, quality tourism, intellectual energy. I would be very, very impressed if this was not one of the priorities of the Italian government in the next couple of years. I am available at Wesleyan to meet you on Zoom. My office hours are Mondays and Wednesday from 1 p.m. To 2 p.m. and then by appointment. Feel free to contact me. It's on my webpage, so if you check for my office hours, you can find me there. But I also can fix a specific appointment for any of the students for the most various reasons. So if you cannot make it to my office hours, one thing, it's always better to send me an email and anticipate that you would like to meet, because I don't want you to just like wait for an hour while I'm talking about the subjunctive with other students. This is a very specific meeting that needs to be with different topics that need to be addressed, and I don't know how long it could go on in terms of students interested in an international experience. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, and thank you, David, and thank you, May. What's up?
Leave then.
What's up? Pleasure to see you.
Hazel can give you my address, or you just go to the Italian Studies at Wellesley and you'll find it. Megan is also available for secret information about the ECCO program. She cannot divulge in the presence of faculty members. So.
Yeah, I'll put my email in the chat. If you guys have any more questions, please feel free to contact me. I loved my experience there, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
What about you the other day with Ivan, Megan?
Sorry, could you repeat this?
Yeah, I was with Ivan, and he asked me about a couple of students, and you were among the students that he asked about.
Oh, so nice.
I'm not even lying. we mentioned you, Molly. We mentioned Sam and Maren, and I don't remember if we mentioned anybody else. Yeah.
Oh, wow, I feel really special. That's
I
great.
have learned that if you want to make Wellesley students happy and see them smiling, all you have to do is say Ivan. Mention this guy's name, and it's a winner. You know, must have
so
a magnetic personality.
Yeah, he's definitely a highlight of the program. Such a great teacher, and like his class is amazing. Like you'll really love studying grammar. Like I feel like it's normally something not everyone's excited about, but he presents it in such a fun way, and you learn so much.
Okay, I think we can maybe. Oops, I misspelled Wesleyan. I am sure you know how to spell that, anyways. It's in your email.
There goes your tenure,
Nothing else that I'm thinking about these days. Karen, it was great to meet you. Diana, it was good to see you. Megan, it was great to have you here, and thanks for helping us. David, thank you so much. And as usual, we will do our best to promote the program so you can have as many students as possible.
Okay, thanks a lot. So I hope to see you too and Grace too in Lecce and or Bologna in summer of 2021. Okay.
Let's hope so.
Student visas in hand. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
We'll see you all.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, David. I will see you soon.
Yeah, by the way, Marco, if you want me to do a guest in your thing in your class, then I'm always available, okay?
We are changing the calendar because there's a little bit of a problem. One of our students got sick, so we are seeing how we can adjust, and I will let you know as soon as possible, probably at the end of this week.
Okay.
If we are reorganizing in a way that allows for this. It's a nightmare.
Okie dokie.
Thank you so much for offering.
No. Thank you. That went quite well. So see ya. Bye-bye.
This was very nice. I'm very happy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, better than the last one. So
I think when you give a specific appointment, it's like a 4-hour window thing.
yeah. Okay. Bye-bye.